Specialized EVO is a whole new platform and a hell of a lot more burly. But what does that mean for overall performance of what used to be a super light shredder? So EVO, same frame as the standard Epic, but 130mm fork now, Fox 34. So, and it comes in the slacker setting standard, so that's a 65.5 head angle. Means reach is actually a little shorter than the 120mm bike, so 470mm. Seat angle is a little slacker too, but obviously means you got a lot more. Well, I didn't say a lot more actually, but more capability in terms of front end suspension, and the build is a lot more burly. So there's no S-Works version, so this Pro gets SRAM EXO, but you're dealing with a purgatory front tyre now in a grid carcass, and you've got a grid carcass ground control on the rear. It's control wheels, not the SL, but you know, that's still sub 1500 gram cross country wheel. So you're getting coat brakes with the heavier HS2 rotors, which means the whole bike is a kilo heavier than it used to be for this Pro version, but that is all just about extra control, confidence. And as Brian from Specialized short travel bike dynamics team is showing, it's all about the speeds as well. This thing's, it's like the kind of difference between having work boots on and trainers in terms of how hard you feel like you can work the bike. Immediately just way more grip, or conversely the potential to get that back end out, drift it, really play with it. Really noticing the fine modulation on those coat brakes coming in, Stanley flicking stuff. Oh yeah, EVO is go, 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 go here in Chile. And what's interesting about that, at first I was like, oh no, they kind of made the Epic EVO heavy. And I used to love that bike because it was super light. It was basically the XC bike that you could rally. And then I realised 12.5 kilos with a 130mm fork. That puts it in the category of like Tall Boy, SB120, Pivot Mach 4, but significantly lighter than all those bikes. And so far, with very, very similar levels of control. And also just really nice, simple, readable, predictable suspension feel. You know, there's nothing you have to like learn about the BPP. The Tall Boy's a hammerhead. And also, really like the frame dynamic of this new EVO. Spent a lot of time on the Epic yesterday. Seriously impressed by how stiff it felt on that, but obviously stickier tyre, bigger fork, being able to push the bike more, that's even more apparent now on this bike. So well, this thing is high as, because you got to remember, you know, those bikes are like 2-3 kilo frames. The ones I've listed before, I think the Pivot SL is like a 2, but definitely Tall Boy SB120, you're looking at a 3 kilo frame. Apparently this is kind of like, not really sure. Maybe that isn't the challenging section of the creek. Alan was on about there being a creek challenge section, but great little trail. These purpose-built trails, Matanzas in Chile, seriously impressive. Kind of building a whole community around them. Kind of like Peebles, but in Chile. She's just sick. And I have to say, I was thinking I was going to be like, yeah, no, I think Epic's the bike for me now. Don't need a 130, don't need tyres this big. Bloody loving this bike on the more rowdy stuff. I've got to say, between the higher anti-squat and what feels like a pretty firm RX tune in this shock, this is a very efficient pedal, even the most open setting. There's very little movement going on without suspension. Oh. And it's not just the treble that matches up to that category of bikes either. You've now got internal storage like you have on the Tall Boy. You've got, you know, a reasonable tyre clearance. If it's not massive, I'm guessing you can fit 2.4 in here. But this ground control's a fairly fat tyre and there's plenty of room around that. And just the overall vibe, that proper, you know, lift your elbow, drop it in, push it and send it hard. It's all present and correct on this Epic EVO now. And as you can see, that opens up a lot rougher, wilder terrain. Puts it into the comfortable wheelhouse of this bike, whereas before it probably felt pretty sketchy on stuff like this with the lighter tyres. Now you've got that purgatory up front. It's always been a rear trail tyre now before, but doing service on front of the EVO now. Feels good, because actually even in a T9 it rolls well. Just because of the tread pattern. And like I say, you've got code brakes, which again I was like, nah, I'm not sure I need that much brake. But I'm really glad of it here. In the Chilean dirt, but just following dust trails down here. Oh, sweet. You've also got steering lock on here. And your little pop-up mini tool.
I don't know. We're ready.
And it's kind of nice after the Epic. It's kind of, if you've watched that video, if you haven't, make sure you do. That is a sick bike in its own right, but this is a much simpler story to tell. These trails are sweet. Yeah. And this is exactly what this bike needs, just stuff to like shake and flick around on. Yeah, baby. That's kind of the story. It's just a, you know, it's a play bike that, boy, can it pedal. I mean, if anything, I'd say it wasn't as plush or super stiff as those, you know, bigger, like heavier trail bikes, like, you know, Switch Infinity's probably got. Definitely got, I know, I'd say definitely got a plusher feel. Feels a little more stuck down. To be honest, even the Epic with the flight attendant feels more stuck down than this, but you want like a bike that feels really, really sharp and responsive. Loads of feedback to work with. Because these controlled wheels A really good wheel set as well. Yes, they're light, but super dependable. Really good feel on this bike. Rad it out for the photo. That's it, this is a bike that just makes you feel anesthesia and speedy, but with that pedaling vibe, so you can properly hustle it at the flat sections. Yeah, boy. Oh, Evo, you're different, but you are delicious. Loving this bike. And because you've still got a really light frame, that means you can pull this bike apart and make something seriously light. You know, the S-Works, even with flight attendant, is like 10.5 kilos. Without flight attendant, sub 10 easily possible. And the other bikes, there are other bikes you can do that with, like the Scott, do a version with a 34. To be honest, it's not that convincing. Didn't really love that bike, because for a start they fitted a fit fork rather than a grip fork, so that always feels a bit constipated and under controlled. And then when you did start pushing that fork hard enough that that started working, the back end wasn't playing ball. So yeah, this has a way more balanced, controlled feel than that bike. And apart from that, you know, not many of the other bikes are really comfortable with a 130mm fork. You know, a lot of them are designed to work with 100 or 120mm, like your Cervelos and your Blurs and your Orbeyas. So you could stick one in there, but you know, it's not a natural fit. Whereas, I guess, Top Fuel is another, but that has a seriously hefty frame. It's well over 3 kilos. Yeah, you know, casually being smoked by Peter again there.
Pee on the ground and find something.
Bye, Peter. Mi gracias. Mi gracias. Boom. The only thing I would say is the middle tune, the compression tune on this shock is proper harsh. Doing like some braking button stuff just on fire road, and it's been seriously chattery,
Right?
and savage. But oh, this is a sick trail. This is an optional. They warned us about the dog and said there were some tight switchbacks above the sea. But I'm definitely glad I'm on the new enduro, not the old one. I'm glad they fitted that co-brake with the big rotor. Oh man. Phew. It definitely feels like it's more EVO than epic now. I think I'm doing this on the same frame the World Cup riders will be racing. That's pretty sick, man.
Oh, you're going for it.
Yeah. So that's the new Epic Evo. Big change from the previous one. This Evo is a serious trail bike now. I mean, it's got the punchy pedaling and lightweight of an XC bike, certainly the lightweight potential. But I think you'll see from the trails I've ridden today and how confident, controlled it felt on those. This is a proper, fully fledged trail ripper. But with that lightweight potential, I think it's if you like the previous Epic Evo, this isn't the bike for you anymore. Get the straight Epic now, because that, if you've not watched that video, make sure you watch those videos. 120mm travel, but slacker geometry, longer, stiffer. That is now the bike the Epic Evo used to be. Whereas this, I kind of feel like this is where the stump jumper dare I say, should be. I've always been a bit underwhelmed by the stunt jumper. This, for people who like to push hard on the climbs but also shred the descents, which I guess is down country, if you like that phrase. This, I mean, it's been kind of a really simple bike to review and ride because it feels so sorted. Apart from that shock tune, not totally convinced by that. I mean, I think, to be fair, it's a shock issue. I've felt it on other shocks, but yeah. What Specialized have done with this frame and this spec is seriously impressive. One thing I would say, that's not the stock saddle. It will come with a non-3D printed saddle, but apart from that, that's how the Pro bike will be sold. I don't know pricing yet, and there'll be a full tech talk around on the bike. So if you want to see the up close details and things like the internal storage and talk a bit more about the geometry and actually see the details on it, things like, I really like this kind of grease stained, derelict paint job. Kind of looks like I've owned it a while. It's, you know, it's the state of most of my workshop clothes, but I'm not sure Specialized will thank me for saying that. But yeah, full tech talk through video on the bike as well. There's a live ride review and a tech talk round on the Epic 2 in S-Works trim. But for now, massive thanks to the guys at Kansas and the bike park here for hosting, for building the trails, for guiding. They've been awesome. Superb place. If you want to come and visit, proper little sort of outdoor sports and adventure sports paradise down here on the Chilean coast, if you're feeling exotic. And yeah, massive thanks to Specialized for inviting me here. Thanks to my regular channel sponsors as well. And thanks as always to my Patreon subscribers who pledge on a monthly basis, and they get early, exclusive and ad-free edits as a thank you, as well as kind of more sort of buying advice and personal advice. But I'm hopefully going to do a Epic EVO versus Epic comparison video as well, if I can get the two bikes together, and talk you through the differences and who I think will be better suited to each bike. So keep an eye out for that. If you're unsure, there's a definite difference now, so it shouldn't be too hard to explain. But yeah, click for subscriptions, click for notifications, gives us a thumbs up, like, so YouTube know you've enjoyed it. But most of all, tell your mates. As an old bloke flying around the world, reviewing the latest bikes, and chatting about them, because your recommendation and word of mouth is by far the best way for the channel to grow. So, but for now, I've been Guy Kestevan on GuyKest TV, having an absolute blast on the trails of Matanzas on the new Specialized Epic EVO Pro. And for the people who are wondering where the usual GuyKest TV Specialized storage meat snacks action is, don't worry, we got you. You know, because you got to have some protein ready at the end of a ride. This is taking longer than I wanted. There we go. We got some dumplings. We got some fillet steak. So, even the Epic Evo's got you covered for post-ride snacks.